Hey guys, video 3 on taxonomy evolution. This is on Lamarck. Lamarck was one of the first guys to theorize that evolution was occurring, meaning that organisms could change over time. And at the time his theory was accepted because it kind of made sense. But as we know today, with what we know, he had it totally wrong. But it's good to see, kind of how the thinking had to change to come up with the modern theory of evolution. So when we look at Lamarck's theory, kind of two main principles. One, the law of use and disuse, meaning that if you use a body part a lot, it will become more developed, or the opposite, if you don't use a body part a lot, it will become less developed. And so his take on sort of giraffes having long necks was that giraffes would literally stretch their necks up for food, and over time that made their neck become longer. All right, so you physically, for us, we could make ourselves taller if we wanted by stretching our necks or hanging from a bar. All right, sounds a little bit ludicrous, but at the time that theory was accepted. The second part of that was, if you did make changes, you could then pass those on to your offspring. So that was called the law of acquired characteristics. So the giraffes' necks that were getting longer by stretching, they would have offspring, and then their offspring would have longer necks. So again, this theory was tested, like all theories, with many experiments. And many experiments disproved the theory. The most sort of recognizable experiment that I remember was they cut off the tails of mice for 22 generations. Just to see if any mice would be born with no tails. And they weren't, because all the mice had tails. We know today that genetics is influenced by environment, but you don't change the genes, all right? Those genes, if you have a gene for a tail or you have a gene for a long neck, those genes are going to show up in your offspring. Okay? Thanks, guys. The next one will be on Charles Darwin, who has